All right, everybody. How we doing tonight? Pretty good? All right, you look good. Everybody's got their mask on. That's cool, man. Except for that one guy in front. I see your face, dude. There you go. There you Hey, I know it's just tricky. I know a lot of you guys have got the vaccine already, right? Raise your hand if you've got a vaccine shot already. Look at that. And raise your hand if you've got the disease already. Anybody else got the virus already? A couple of you fought through it. So pretty much 50-50. Everybody's good to go. I'm happy that so far I haven't caught the virus and I haven't got the vaccine shot yet. I'm planning on getting the vaccine shot, but none of my friends want to get it. I just can't understand, my best friend's like, man, you got to really watch out what you put in your body, dude. I'm like, dude, put down the pork rinds and sweet tea and just move along, all right? You're not concerned at all, dude. But the people that don't like wearing masks, they really don't like you wearing one either, do they? That's the one thing I noticed. I was walking into a Walmart a couple of days ago and I put my mask on so I was ready to go, but I wasn't in the store yet. This lady walked right up to me. She's like, sir, you don't have to wear those outside. It's not doing nothing for you. It's not even a good look. And I looked back at her wearing pajama bottoms and socks and Crocs. I'm like, right back at you, Karen. Put on some pants. This ain't a Zoom call. Yeah, there's all kinds of things. Everybody's doing what they can. That's the one thing, early on at least, we all seem to kind of use our resources to get the best that we can out of each other. But some things just kind of backfired. General Motors said they were going to provide respirators to everybody. They were going to fire up their factories to make respirators. I'm like, well, that's great, but GM also gave us the El Camino. So just be careful, right? You might get a respirator that you can haul a kayak in. That's going to be nice, right? And then there's little companies. Of course, small businesses have been hurt a lot. There's a company here in Nashville that was making CBD oil products, and they switched their production line to make CBD oil hand sanitizer. Which, I'm not sure if it actually kills the germs or just makes them really confused and lazy. They get kind of hungry. Call Grubhub. How do we get out of here? But we're all just doing what we can. That's the main thing. I've got little kids, so I'm trying to stay healthy. And, they were going to school a little bit. Then they were hybrid school for a while. Then they were home all the time. And, my 15-year-old freshman, he goes, I'm only at school 2 days a week. That's not very good, is it? I'm like, dude, you're in school 2 days more a week than I was in high school. You're killing it. I was hooky all the time. And my little daughter, she's in third grade. And I typically travel a lot. I'm usually gone 160, 170 days a year. So about 3 weeks into this whole thing, she noticed I wasn't gone that much. And she just looked across the table one morning at breakfast and said, Papa, how come you're home all the time now? I'm like, well, I hope you don't mind, but currently my job is considered non-essential. Do you know what that means? She goes, no. I said, it's something that's nice to have, but you don't have to have it. She goes, oh, I get it, like your hair. I'm like, yeah, or your college fund. Yeah, but they're just doing the best they can. I've got funny kids. That's the great part about my home life. I get to be home a lot, and they're just cracking me up all the time. My son, he's 15, like I said. When he was little, he was quiet for a while, but when he would say stuff, it was either weird stuff or funny stuff. There was like no in between. And if you're a parent, sometimes you can't laugh at what they say because it encourages. It's like it's not the right kind of funny sometimes what they say, but just kind of play along with it. One night I'm tucking him into bed. I'm like, hey, buddy, I hope you have sweet dreams. He looks up at me and goes, I hope you're still breathing when I wake up in the morning. Like, what do you know that I don't know? I was awake the next morning. I didn't sleep a wink that whole night. One night before we go to bed, we're brushing our teeth, and I notice he's looking in the mirror at him real close. Then he looks over at me, then back at him, back at me. I said, what's the matter, buddy? He said, Papa, I just noticed me and you, we kind of look alike. I'm like, yeah, what do you think about that? He goes, what are you going to do? Probably not going to go to prom is what you're probably not going to do. Yeah, he's a good kid. I got a great wife too. I've been married for 17 years, that's not bad, but it's not the longest probably. How many folks out there have been married longer than 17 years? Anybody? Oh, look at that. How about longer than 20 years? Really? Longer than 30 years of being married? One hand way in the back, two hands in the, about 35. Look at this group, 40 years of being married. Anybody? I still see a hand up in the back. 45 years of being married. What? 50 years of being married. I still see a hand in the back. Give it up for them. 50 plus years of marriage. It might be a little tricky for me, but let's see if I can find out. It looks like you're wearing a blue and white kind of shirt there in the very back. What's your name there? And how many years total was it for you being married?
55.
Wow. Double nickel, 55. That's pretty impressive. Is there a secret that you can share with us to 55 years of marriage?
55 years of marriage. Oh no.
Oh, no. That's hilarious. I talked to a couple, I think it was last year, I was on a cruise ship, and, people of all ages on the boat, and I asked that question, and there was a couple that had been married for over 75 years. I know. They were like high 90s. They got married when they were teens. I said, man, you must know a secret, don't you, sir? He's like, well, here's what I do. If it's a holiday, I just give her a card, and that seems to make her happy. I'm like, what kind of card? He goes, Visa gift card, $100 every time. Can't argue with logic like that. Well, Valentine's Day was that yesterday already? Oh, good. I'm going to go shopping for stuff at half off tonight and surprise my wife tomorrow. She thinks I totally forgot. I'm just getting her twice as much for the same price. Yeah, this time last year was a little tricky because I asked her if there was something I could buy her that I hadn't thought of in 17 years of being married and 2 or 3 years of dating before that. I said, I'm pretty much out of ideas for gifts. And she looked at me and said, how about this? Instead of exchanging gifts this year for Valentine's Day, we'll exchange ideas to each other on a piece of paper instead. I said, what kind of ideas? She said, I'm going to write down a couple things you're not doing right around this house you could do better. And you write down a couple about me. I'm like, stop right there. That's like a trap door on an escalator. Let me get this straight. You're going to tell me something I'm not doing right, and I'm going to tell you something you're not doing right, and that's a romantic Valentine's Day? She goes, well, if we fix those 6 or 7 things. I'm like, she's got a list started already. I'm down 6-0, didn't know I was even playing. So I figured in the back of my head, this was going to be great because I don't have to go shopping or spend any money. This holiday won't cost me nothing. Then I realized I'm a dead man walking, aren't I? This could cost me the house. So I had like a week to figure out what I could tell her she could do better. And I knew she was up on me by 6 points, so I started writing everything down I could think of. But really, there wasn't nothing she could do better. She could do stuff different. We all can. But I really wasn't mad about anything in the house. And we go out to eat on Valentine's night, which is the busiest night of the year to go out to eat. Have y'all been in that mess before? I mean, we're sitting there 30 minutes, hadn't got our food yet. I said, honey, while we're waiting, what am I not doing right? She goes, here's the big one, buddy. And I knew I was in trouble right then because she only calls me buddy if I'm in trouble. She goes, when I ask you to fix something, can you do it the same year I ask you to do it? Sounds like some guilty parties up there. I said, give me an example. She said, I'll ask you to change a light bulb that burns out. You wait till they all burn out, then you change them all at once. I said, that's why you got the extras. Come on now. No, I didn't say that. I was thinking it real loud, but of course I didn't say it. I said, honey, I'll try harder. She goes, what about me? I said, really, you're not doing anything wrong, but the one thing I really miss, before I had our kids a long time ago, if I was home on the weekend and I wasn't traveling doing shows, you would surprise me with this big old breakfast. It was like Cracker Barrel in the house. It was the best breakfast. It was great, but it takes a long time to make that breakfast. I don't blame you because you got your own schedule, but I miss it. And I looked back across the table and she had started tearing up and crying right there at the Hardee's. I know. On Valentine's Day. Like, hey, don't judge me, all right? It's about $15 to get out of Hardee's with a thick burger and a milkshake. But she was really crying. I said, I didn't mean to upset you. That was a compliment, you know? She goes, well, I didn't quit making breakfast because of the kids. It's because you never gave me a compliment when I made it. I didn't think you liked my cooking, so I just quit. Man, then I started tearing up and crying. Thinking about 15 years of Fruity Pebbles and Pop-Tarts I've been shoveling down with soy milk. Have you ever had to drink soy milk? That's like whiteout and water. Who makes this stuff? It's horrible, man. But the only reason I tell you this story is to help the guys out there that are in this room here tonight and everybody watching at home, is because when you talk like that, you're communicating, right? Ladies appreciate that communication. The very next morning, fellas, it paid off. I woke up at 6 a.m. I smell maple syrup. I smell pancakes. And I run downstairs, and my wife had bought a candle somewhere that smells exactly like... Yeah. Oh, laugh it up. It's funny now. You ever been hungry and mad at 6 a.m.? So I smell this. I hit the bottom step. I'm like, what are you doing with that candle, you know? She's like, oh, I had to use it. The last light bulb burned out this morning. She wasn't even trying to get me, and she got me. That's how good she is. But like I say, 17 years has gone by like that. I moved to Nashville, Tennessee 17 years ago. I moved here when they still made country music. Do y'all remember those days? I mean, they make it now, but I don't know what it is. It's not what I grew up on. You know, I grew up on like Merle Haggard and Johnny Cash and those kinds of guys. My little one, she likes Taylor Swift. And I don't know, have we got any Taylor Swift fans out there? It's okay. Yeah, I'm not here to pick on you. I'm just curious. Because I need to learn why is she so angry? You know, every song she's mad at somebody else. I don't get it. We counted it up. She has 16 different songs about breaking up with boyfriends. I told my wife after 16 the problem could be her. I mean, why you got to be so mean? I don't get it. Just shake it off. Right? Then I started thinking, like, what if you're a guy going on a date with her? The whole time you can't even think straight, right? You're just thinking, what does my name rhyme with? Right? I mean, I don't know. I like a lot of music. I grew up on rock and roll. We got rock and rollers in the room. Where y'all at? Yeah, I love rock and roll. My first concert was Kiss when I was in 4th grade. I know. I saw them last year, and they need the makeup this time around, I tell you. That's a wagon load of ugly on tour right there. Hope concert sponsored by Mary Kay just to help them out, you know. I bet it's hard to be cool in a pink tour bus. But that was like the craziest band I could pick to go see when I was a kid. You know, now they got guys I wouldn't go see if you paid me. My nephew, he wants me to take him to see Marilyn Manson. You ever seen that creature? Oh, you take a long look at this Marilyn Manson guy. You're like, did Howard Stern and Cher have a baby? What's going on? He is not one of the beautiful people, I tell you that. But my nephew loves him. He's like, he's a millionaire. He's doing something right. Then I started thinking, he is probably a millionaire. Could you imagine like hitting the Powerball and building your dream home, and then this guy lives next door to you? The real estate agent wouldn't tell you. Just be walking down your driveway one morning, hey, have you seen my dog anywhere? I ate him. Blah. See you at my moving sale. It could be better than my neighbor, though. I don't like to judge people, but some people, I'll just ask you guys, anybody got a weirdo neighbor? You guys are right on the buzzer right there. Make sure they're not here first before you call them out. I don't know if weird's the right word or tacky. Like I say, I don't mean to judge, but I came home from a show one night, pulled in my driveway at 1 in the morning. My neighbor is on a ladder up against my house, trying to yank down all my Christmas lights. I don't know. It was 4th of July weekend, but those are my Christmas lights. I'll change them when they all burn out, all right? Yeah, he's a good guy overall. The only thing I don't get along with him is he got too many cats. Like, how many cats do you think you should have if you live in a neighborhood house? What did she say?
She said one's too many.
Yeah, I'm with her. One's a little bit high, but we can say one. I'm exactly with her, man. My neighbor's got 9 cats. Yeah. That's 81 lives. I'm exhausted. I had to watch his cats while he went on vacation a little while back, and I'm allergic, so I really don't know anything about him, but I learned a lot that week. You know, a lot of things they say about cats aren't true at all. Like they always land on their feet. Not if you got a ceiling fan. I'm just teasing y'all. I wouldn't hurt a ceiling fan, okay? This is so fun, man. I'm glad we have everybody where I can see y'all tonight. Technology is it's a lot to grasp, isn't it? You know, my parents, bless them, they're in their 80s now. We got them a laptop at Christmas time because we couldn't see them, and we needed to find some way to see them through the computer, you know. So we got them hooked up, and that's what they were supposed to use the laptop for. That's exclusively what we got it for them. A couple days later, my dad calls me up on the regular phone. He's like, "Richard Dale, I'm about to fire off an email. Keep an eye out for it." I'm like, "I will. And just so you know, you don't have to call people before you fire off an email." But I checked my inbox. There's an email, but it's not coming directly from my dad. It's asking me if I would like to follow him on Twitter. Yeah, this ain't good for nobody right here. So at that point, he had the laptop for 2 days. He had put out 165 tweets. I know. It gets worse. All capital letters, no punctuation, 0 followers. I'm like, he's just tweeting in the breeze. That's all he's doing. Come on, Gutenberg, put him out. So then I was curious. I'm like, my dad, as far as I know, he's never been on a typewriter. Now he's on a computer typewriter, and he's cranking out 165 emails. He must be, maybe he's got all these ideas like Mark Twain have built up over 84 plus years. He's just got to get them out into the world, you know. So I start scrolling down through it and realize it's not even a different idea. It's 165 tweets to get out one idea. And there's an 8-hour gap in there where he went to bed and got back up and finished it off. It gets even worse. It was a big story is what it was. And the whole story was about birds. Yes, because my dad thought Twitter was a bird watching, updating website. I wish I was making that up. If you want to follow my dad on Twitter, you can look him up. He's at Nuthatcher 401-261853, which is also his social security number. Yeah. But they're figuring it out, you know. My older brother is really the only person that's been computer literate in our whole family until recently. In 8th grade, and this would have been for him 1975, he got something called a Commodore 64. Y'all remember anybody Commodore 64? Look, hey, thanks for staying up late, you guys. I appreciate you being out tonight. He got that out of a Sears catalog. Raise your hand if you remember Sears catalogs. Yeah. It was like Amazon in a book. It was real neat. He ordered that one Christmas, and like 2 weeks later, figured out how to reprogram it and all kinds of stuff, you know. So last time I was visiting my parents at Christmas time, my mom gave me that Commodore 64. She goes, "Well, trade out. You give us that new laptop, we'll give you the Commodore 64." So I take that computer back home and I just throw it away, right? It won't even go in a museum. It's so bad. I just threw it away. She called me up 2 days later. She goes, "Have you got that thing running yet?" Like, "Oh, I got Windows 57 on there. That's what I got." You can't even catch a virus. It gets a sniffle, shuts right on down. Right? And my parents they've kept everything they've ever had in their whole life. They're not hoarders, but they just haven't thrown nothing out. And last time I went to visit, I asked my mom, "Is there anything new going on around his place?" And she was so excited. She's like, "Oh yeah, we got a home security system installed in here." They've been in the same little ranch house on a tobacco farm since 1968. I said, "What do you think people are going to do, break in and remodel when you're not looking?" If somebody knocked down my parents' door, they would be so confused. They'd trip over a beanbag chair. They'd hit the couch and slide off the plastic. They'd knock over the smokeless ashtray from Ronco. They hit the wall, a big orange picture made out of yarn and nails that come right down on them. My dad would be throwing pet rocks. "Stay down, stay down." I said, "I love your house, Mom, but you got to get rid of some stuff. It's like a 70s museum in here." She goes, "It's a nice place." I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't think you need a security system. If somebody breaks in, all you got to do is go to your stereo and get in that middle compartment and wait for them to go away." Raise your hand if you had that big old stereo growing up. Remember that big old ankle buster, 6 foot wide hi-fi? Looked like wood made out of plastic and heavier than concrete, right? And what did you have, green or red or gold? Velour speakers, 3 feet apart from each other. I said, if somebody breaks in, just get in that middle compartment. They won't know what happened to you. It's like a little safe house in there. But they're up in Kentucky where I was born and raised. I was raised there, then I moved to Ohio for about 10 years. Then I broke a tooth and bought a truck and had to move down to Tennessee. That's how it works. Got to stick with your people, right? And my wife's family is all from Arkansas, which, if you're a comedian, that's the gift that keeps on giving right there. I think geographically we make fun of Arkansas like you make fun of Wyoming, or something pretty close. Or you probably make fun of Arkansas, let's be honest. But I love my in-laws. My favorite is my brother-in-law, Skillet. He's the biggest, I know. Long story short, he got beat up by a Waffle House waitress with a skillet one time. But I love him because he's crazy. He's fun-loving. He drives a UPS van, not for a job. He just got one at an auction real cheap. I'm like, "Why'd you buy that van?" He goes, "Think about it. I can park wherever I want to. Just leave the blinkers on." I'm like, "I don't think a lack of parking spots in Arkansas is a problem, is it?" I think everybody's left the state. You have the whole parking lot to yourself. But he modified the big old UPS van. Now it's like a deer hunting lodge on wheels. We got any hunters in this bunch? I'm sure we got hunters. Where are y'all at? Way in the back. I can barely see you. You got camouflage on. You blended it right in with that door. If you don't mind, can you stand up just so I can see you a little bit better? You got the hat on? Yeah, right there. There you go. Did he get a chance to go hunting this past season?
Yes, sir.
And did you get anything?
No.
You didn't? How many days did you go?
2 months.
You must be married a long time too then. Well, I'm sure you've had some pretty big deer in your day though, right?
Oh, yes.
What's the biggest buck you ever got?
12 point.
Oh, that's a big one, man.
About 200 pounds.
Wow. How much corn did you have to put on the hood of the car to get him in your garage? Just keep throwing it out there. No, that's impressive. So you've seen the good and the hard of hunting, right? So here's what people don't understand is when you don't get a deer, on your way back home, it seems like everybody else got one just to rub it in, right? Last time I was in Minnesota, I was up in Milwaukee, Minnesota. Y'all know where that's at? Oh, I'm sorry, Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Yeah, yeah. This one of those. There's a Milwaukee in Michigan. Anyway, there's two of those. But I was up there in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. It was during deer season, and I saw my favorite thing I've ever seen in 30 years of travel in this country. There was these hunters that came back from snowmobile hunting, and they had the deer zip tied to the snowmobiles. They were flying down the interstate. Their heads were moving because it looked like they were still alive and really digging it. Like Santa had a brand new plan. All right, you can sit back down, sir. Thanks for helping me out there. I just wanted to. Okay. It's good to. The other craziest thing I've ever had happen to me in traveling the country was a couple years back, maybe 4 years ago. I had to drive all the way across Kansas. How many folks have ever driven across Kansas? Yeah. How many ever plan on heading back? Right. I knew it was going to be flat. I didn't know you had to bring your own people. I had no idea. That tornado from the Wizard of Oz took everybody, didn't it? And it's so flat, the highway patrol has to be extra sneaky because they don't have anything at all to hide behind. I see some people on the front row know what I'm talking about, right? They've got unmarked cars. They got Mustangs, Trans Ams, Camaros. Sometimes they're pulling a bass boat, and that's just cheating, right? But I don't know. I'm in the right lane. Guy goes flying by me in a Trans Am. I'm like, game on. Right? I'm going to keep up with that guy. He's probably got a radar detector. He had the radar, and I did not detect it. So I'm trying to catch up to him, and at the time I had a 1996 3 out of 4 cylinder Isuzu pickup truck. Yeah, that's a woman getter right there, ain't it, ladies? Maybe not in Minnesota, but it worked in Arkansas. So it's no UPS van, but I was doing what I could. All right. So I'm driving. I'm trying to catch up to this guy, right? He's in a Trans Am. I'm in the 3-cylinder. I'm hanging on for dear life, but I start making progress. I'm not sure exactly how fast we're going, but we're flying down the road pretty good. Then he started slowing down and speeding up and switching lanes and swerving everywhere. I'm like, this guy has fallen asleep behind the wheel. I should get his attention and see if he's okay. You ever been so stupid you pulled the cops over? Anybody else? You want to talk about paperwork. Whew. I don't know how to pull anybody over. I just roll down my window and stick my head out. I'm like, woo, whoop, whoop, whoop. I was flipping my one good high beam at him there for a while. He pulls over. I pull over right behind him and hop out of my truck. I'm all excited. I'm thinking I'm saving somebody's life. I thought he was falling asleep behind the wheel or something. I jump out, run up to his window. I just start pounding on his window. Meanwhile, he's been loading the revolver on the other side. Then he cracks the window, and I see he's an officer. I got zero game plan. But I start thinking I should arrest him for reckless driving before he arrests me for speeding, right? But I don't know how to arrest anybody. All I know is from watching the Andy Griffith Show my entire life. Like Barney Fife. I just walk up there and I'm like, hey! Would you mind rolling down the window? You want to get out of the vehicle there, buddy? Now, you're a big one, too, aren't you? Look at you. Want to know why I pulled you over? Because I'm an idiot. Whoa! I thought I was going to prison right there. He's like, you're so weird, I'll drop you off wherever you want to go. I wish. He actually was so confused and angry, he threw me in the back seat of his little squad car and locked me in there. He gets on his little shoulder CB. 5 minutes later, 6 more popo roll up. Like, I hadn't seen 6 people all week in Kansas. Now we got a whole party going on. Then he hops back in. He's like, first off, who pulled over who? I said, I know it's confusing, but the way you were swerving around, I thought you'd fallen asleep behind the wheel. He said, swerving? I was trying to get behind you to pull you over for speeding, but you wouldn't let me. I said, well, I didn't know who you were. You never turned on your lights or your sirens. If you would have done that, I would have pulled over right away. He goes, well, you got me there. They went out on me yesterday. I'm like, well, I'll let you go if you let me go. He did not let me go. He gets back, he's like, first off, do you know how fast you were going back there? I said, I have no idea. My speedometer broke in 06. I have no clue, but we were moving, weren't we? He's like, yeah, we were. I was pacing you at one point. We hit 104 miles an hour. What do you have to say about that? I mean, you never lie. I said, sir, that's pretty good in a 3-cylinder Isuzu pickup truck. Can you print that out? That's going to help me with my trade-in value right there, ain't it? Then he says, what brings you out here to Minnesota in the first place? I see you've got Tennessee license plates. I said, yeah, well, I was working up here, but I'm headed back home now. He goes, what kind of work you doing? I said, I was doing a fundraiser for the March of Dimes if you need to look into it. He's like, oh, I don't need to look into it, but you might want to look into this. I've been looking at your name here and your ID and your face for 10, 15 minutes now. I don't know what you mean by doing a show and a fundraiser. You're a comedian, you said? I said, yeah, I'm a comedian. He goes, you don't ring a bell. You must not be very good if I don't know who you are. He goes, you ever been on Letterman or Leno or something like that? What do you say? I'm like, nah. You ever been on Cops? Huh? That'll be on in a few weeks if you want to see me on Cops. Hey, I believe my time is wrapped up. I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys tonight. I wish we could do it for 5 more hours, but I know y'all got a life to get to. Thank you very much, and thanks for all the people watching at home, helping us with the fundraiser. You guys are great. Enjoy the rest of your Cadillac dinner, and have a great night. Take care.